Around this time, their manager and the record label decides, hey, we're going to put out a greatest hits album.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk to the band about it, though. We're just kind of going to do it.
Yeah.
And, they weren't super happy about that.
Yeah.
But it turns out that greatest hits album ended up becoming one of the biggest selling albums ever.
Ever.
So now the stage is set.
Yeah.
They've gotten huge off that greatest hits album. They were already big, but now the greatest hits album, it's giant.
Yeah.
They're getting rid of Bernie.
Yeah.
And they're replacing him with a man named Joe Walsh.
Yes.
The Rocker Eagle.
Yes, the Rocker Eagle comes in. And Joe Walsh has so many different lanes that you can call him. Rocker Eagle, Eagle Rocker, Rocker Eagle, Eagle Rocker, back
Cocaine
and forth.
Eagle.
Cocaine Eagle,
But that's a little later.
Yeah, a little later. But they were, they shared a manager or a producer. I forgot if it was Bill. Yeah. But they shared somebody. So sometimes during their concerts, they would bring Joe out in a gearbox. And they would open the gearbox and Joe would pop out and he would start playing guitar and stuff. So then, Glenn started thinking like, oh man, Bernie wants to leave. Why don't I trade Joe for Bernie?
Right.
So that's where the sound kind of changes again.
Yes.
And here comes the rock.
That's another thing where you could really see on his face who he is.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you look at him, and especially this era, you're like, this guy loves a party and this guy loves rock and roll.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And he joined the band, and it's just literally like a shot of adrenaline straight into the heart of the Eagles.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like it's really this is what I'm saying. Like obviously Felder, they're clearly coming. They're shifting more to the rock.
Yeah.
But it's like all it takes is that one person, and now.
Uh-huh.
And they're like pedal to the fucking metal.
Yeah.
Life in the fast lane.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So the next album is one of the most famous albums ever.
Uh-huh.
With one of the most famous songs, a couple of the most famous songs ever, actually.
Oh yeah.
It's called Hotel California.
Oh yeah.
If you've ever heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I don't know if it's necessarily just Joe being in the band now, or if they were all hitting their stride all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But this album it's a work. It literally is a work of art. Like everything is so fucking good on this album.
Yeah.
And I remember the title track, Hotel California.
Welcome to the Hotel California.
There's a reason it's so legendary. I mean, it's just fucking amazing.
Yeah, it's everything. It's Don Felder actually writing the music, starting out with the music, and it's Don Henley's lyrics. It's just like, what is he talking about?
And
every sentence and his voice. It's like you're following this story word for word. Exactly. A shimmering light. And it's just like, he's starting to get tired now. We've all been there. You're on the road, and then you step in someplace. It's just a great, great song. And then
stab it with their steely knives.
They shout out to Steely Dan in the song, who they love. They said they wanted to write a song like Steely Dan. So they decided to do this one.
But they still can't kill the beast.
They still can't kill the beast. I mean, the song is just great. I think what makes this song great is like now you have kind of like a 2-and-2 thing. You have Glenn and Don who started it, right? The songwriters. And then you have Joe and Don. So you got two dueling guitars that are holding it down here. And then you got the songwriters who are holding it here. And then you got Randy just right at the bottom. The bass line for Hotel California is so insane.
Good. Yeah.
Wow.
This thing is so crazy is that, when you're talking about like, the 70s are really great for super long guitar solos to end a song. Mm-hmm. Specifically this song in Freebird, but that's a different story.
Yeah.
But in this song, like the end of that is so good. The bass line is so good. It's so crazy to think that it's overshadowed by how good the guitar solos are. When they have these dueling, they're literally, it still blows my mind. I remember hearing that, maybe not the first, I can't remember the first time I heard this song. It's just part of life.
Yeah, you heard it in the womb, most likely.
But I remember like the first time I knew about music enough to really understand what was going on. Be like, wait, so they're harmonizing, but then they're also switching off solos, but then they're going back into the harmonizing, like it's just no big deal.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Yeah.
And you can even hear, I can hear now when it's Joe versus when it's...
Me too. Now I can hear it.
Right?
Isn't it beautiful? And a shout out to Joe too, because Joe at the end said, to Don, we should do something like... So, that's like a peak in the song as well. You know, that pulls you in. So, shout out to the Eagles for making such a beautiful, beautiful song. I can hear that song all the time. I'm
Every day.
never ever sick of that song.
100%. I also want to shout out, so Life in the Fast Lane.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know that was a term that came from that song. Like I've looked it up. So that's like a colloquial, like people say that all the time. Oh, life in the fast lane, blah blah blah. Because that came from a Joe Walsh lick. He just do.
Yes.
And I think it was Glenn
Who was driving?
Glenn was in the car with like a drug dealer once.
Yes.
Who was going like 100 on the freeway.
Yeah.
He was just like, what the fuck, bro? And the drug dealer was like, life in the fast lane, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Glenn had that in his head, and he heard Joe's riff, and he put it all together.
So you're telling me that nobody was saying that before that? Like the guy?
That's apparently what I've heard, is that people like tried to trace the origins of that saying, and there's no recorded version of that saying before that song.
Wow.
Which was crazy to me, because I thought it was the opposite. I thought it was something that people said and they put it into the song.
Yeah.
But apparently it's the opposite, and they can't find any proof of that in a like written word.
I had no idea.
Before that.
No idea. I thought,
Yeah.
because I saw like when Glenn was telling the story too, and it's just like, he was like, yeah, life in the fast lane. And I thought that that's just a saying that he said, and he was like,
It is
I
now.
should put it in a song. Wow. That's really cool.
I didn't do all the research myself. Like, oh, it doesn't say life in the fast lane anywhere ever in the world before that, but that is what I've heard.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna believe it.
Yeah, I'm going to go with it
Fuck
too. Like, oh my gosh, how cool. And then the lyrics for that song, it just starts out, okay, he was brutally handsome, and she was terminally pretty.
Yeah.
Like, whoa. I mean, it's just too good. It's just too good.
It's too good, and Glenn is so good.
And then Don at the end, I love the country hard rockness of the end of that song too.
Yes.
Yeah, you just gotta love it.